Going Places by A.R. Barton. The story begins with a conversation between um, two teenage girls, Sophie and Jancy. Sophie lives in a world of imagination where Jancy is totally opposite to her. Sophie imagines of owning a fashionable boutique, right? And Jancy feels that it requires a lot of money to open a boutique. She also tells her that it will take her a long time to save that amount of money. To this, Sophie replies that she will work as a manager first, and then only she will be able to save enough money opening a boutique. She's interrupted by Jancy as she tells her that nobody will hire her straight up to the managerial post. And Sophie changes her plan and decides to be fashion icon Mary Quant. She also adds that she will have the best boutique shop that no one has ever seen in the city. Sophie watched her back stoop over the sink and wondered at the incongruity of delicate bow which fastened her apron strings, the delicate seeming bow and the crooked back. The evening had already blackened in windows, and the small room was steamy from the stove and cluttered with a heavy breathing man in the west at the table and the dirty washing piled up in the corner. Sophie felt a tightening in her throat, and she went to look at her brother, Jeff. So, students, see, here we get to know the socio-economic condition of this family, that they were not very well off, and how her father was mostly engaged in some manual labor, and how he came back home in dirty clothes, and how their kitchen was piled up with dishes. That means her mother was overburdened with the household work, and her father was like doing all kind of work to earn the livelihood for for the family members. As I told you that John C. Sophie had two brothers, and one of them was working as apprentice mechanic, and the younger brother, so her father was having this responsibility of looking after the whole family. Now, as she was disappointed looking at the situation inside the house, she went out looking for her brother, Jeff. Jeff was kneeling on the floor, and in the next room, tinkering with a part of a motorcycle. He was repairing some part of motorcycle. As we told, he was a trainee mechanic who had left his school 3 years ago. He had to travel long distances in search of work, and Sophie was sometimes doubtful about her brother, as he did not speak much about his life. Therefore, she always had this imagination that her brother led some different kind of life. She was so jealous of his silence because she wanted to know about the places he used to visit. She thought that they could be some distant places of city, or maybe some countryside. She had so much curiosity to know where did he go. All these thoughts were so captivating because they were far away from her reach. Perhaps there were also poetic, exotic, interested people whomever he spoke. Sophie imagined that her brother's personal life, she thought that her brother never spoke about, but maybe he knew some non native people who were very interesting. Though she knew that her brother did not have any friends, still she felt that it was possible that he might have some special friends. So sometimes she wished she could become close to her brother so that he would take her out with him. She knew that her father would never allow to do so. Even her brother considered her not big enough to go outside, but she was growing impatient and wanted to go outside, as she believed that she would be comfortable there just like in her own city. So she imagined herself riding with Jeff and he wearing a shiny black jacket, and she's wearing a beautiful yellow dress with a stole flying behind her, and they would ride in on his motorcycle. She dreamt that people stood up to welcome her by clapping when she rode with her brother. Jeff looked pretty annoyed as he was doing his work at an oily part of motorcycle that he was handling. He was trying to make it work, but all attempts were wasted. And at that time, what Sophie did, actually, she tried to get his attention. She told him that she met Danny Casey, and students, Danny Casey was favorite footballer of her brother. And her brother suddenly looked at her and asked her where she met him. She said that she was at a gallery when she saw him. He did not believe her and asked if she could tell this to their father. She did not approve of her brother's question, as she wanted to say that he must know that he is the one with whom she shared her secrets. While this brother sister were in conversation, their father entered the room. He looked and clean and shiny as his taken bath. He switched on television and sat on his chair after shifting Derek's shoe from his chair to sofa. As he sat in the chair, Jeff told him that Sophie has met Danny Casey. On hearing that, he turned towards Sophie. He looked at her scornfully because he did not believe her. Jeff clarified it to be true. The father then told them that he once knew a man who had known Tim Finney a long time ago. Tim Finney was a legendary footballer. He took his name with great respect. Jeff agreed that their father had told them earlier.